Can't get any words. Podcasts don't last, giving you the real talk, no holding back. Can't get any worse, we'll make you see. There's always a silver lining. We'll set you free, so join the movement. Let's change the game with the Can't Get Any Worse podcast.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Can't Get Any Worse podcast. We all have a good weekend. We all have a good Father's Day. What did we all get up to? Those watching on YouTube, I don't know if the camera's low enough, but I got some freshies on my feet, some fresh, bright, white Crocs. Might have put my foot in a little bit this week, and obviously Nikita had already done her Father's Day shopping because she's like that. She's probably already got everyone's Christmas presents at this stage. She loves buying shit for people. So earlier this week, I was rocking around my old Crocs, and I just dropped the subtle sentence that, hey, I think I might be at that point where I might be slightly getting over Crocs a little bit, thinking about venturing back into the world of old thongs. And Nikita's given me this look, and I've gone, oh shit, I know exactly what I'm getting for Father's Day now. And sure enough, here we go. So I'm not going to lie, I feel like a bit of a fucking flog rocking around in some bright white Crocs to start with, but once they've got a bit of colour about them, I prefer the white ones. So it's just pushing through those first few days of looking like an absolute flop at the fucking grocery shop. I don't know if you guys can relate to this, or whether this is just my fucked up whatever brain I have without any professional testing. Did you guys ever used to get super self-conscious rocking up to school in some brand new like black shoes? I fucking went to a homo private school, so I had to have like black leather shoes. There's nothing worse than rocking up on your first day with some new shoes, just looking like the biggest fucking knobhead in the world. Like, I remember before I'd walk through the school gate, I'd just like kick them in the dirt or just like scuff them up with the other shoe a little bit just so they didn't look so lame. And I was like, when I finished school, I was like, fuck yeah, that is out of my life now. I don't have to fucking worry about that ever again. And then you start work, right? And if you're a tradie, like I fucking was destined to be, rocking up to, it's not so bad when you're an apprentice because you just look awkward and dumb as fuck when you're an apprentice anyway. But when you're a tradie and you're like 10, 15 years in the trade, there's nothing worse than rocking up to work on a Monday with some brand new work boots. And no matter what job site you're on, everyone's just going to be like, oh, look at the fucking new guy. Look at this guy with his fucking new boots. And it's like, dude, I'm going to have the most comfortable feet on site today, but you guys are all ripping on me like I'm some sort of fucking fancy office bloke. I don't know. Something about that tradie environment that just, if there's a little ounce of like vulnerability, they'll pounce on it. That's my fucking little opening rant about new shoes. New shoes, new work boots. They're fucking lame and I hate them. But they'll get there. You watch. In about 3 to 4 weeks, I'll hold them up on the podcast and you guys will go, those have got some nice colour about them. Those are some nice Crocs. Oh, bit sleepy today. I'm not going to lie. The Bailey, my dog, keeps fucking popping her head in here since I started setting all this up. And I feel like she's probably going to make a little guest appearance today. Maybe I could play a game of who's whiter, Bailey or my Crocs. So stay tuned for that one. But yeah, bit of a sleepy boy today. Had a late one last night. Decided that sort of late yesterday afternoon / nighttime that I'd really knuckle down and finalise my little proposal and pitch that I've been teasing you guys about of my new little venture that hopefully eventuates to something. Last night I just decided fucking if I don't finish this and get it away, then it's never going to happen, is it? So I think I ended up turning the computer off about 11:30 last night after, getting it all together, firing away about 30 or so emails, send another 30 or so today, hopefully, and something will blossom from it. Even if it's not the full idea that I have, the vague idea is it's bulletproof. And this proposal that I've put together stunned myself. I was like, holy shit, how was this in your brain? But used my good pal ChatGPT to beef it up a little bit and make it more professional to the people that I'm approaching. But again, can't blow my load on the podcast yet, as much as you guys would love to see that. But again, my nudes haven't been leaked. But anyway, hopefully something comes from that. But it's going to be a crazy week this week. So I'm not sure why I put myself through staying up that late last night, because I teased it last week. We got 2 podcasts this week. So you guys will be listening to this one on the Tuesday, and then got another one dropping on Thursday. So haven't recorded that one yet. We're recording that Tuesday night. 2 guests for that one that I'll be doing the split show for a Good Chat Fringe Festival with. We still haven't got our graphics and ticket links, which is making us all quite stressed out that how the fuck are we going to sell this show out in less than 2 weeks now. So all you guys that are in Southeast Queensland or just want to make the fucking drive, come to the show, please. And I'm sure the 3 of us are going to be... It's going to be an hour of us begging you guys to buy tickets for the episode that drops on Thursday. So, I got the old double up of the podcast. So double the recording, double the editing, blah, blah, blah. But cry me a river. This is what I want to do. So put in the hard yards. And then on the back of all that, on Friday, I'll leave for that little tour that I've been teasing you guys with. So I'll plug those shows at the end of it. But it's going to be a big week, but it's the type of week that it's going to cement the idea, I suppose, of whether or not this is what I really want to do, like putting in all those hours for the podcast, then going on a little comedy tour. And on top of all that, I got a couple of little installs for my fucking regular day job. So dare say I'm going to be dead by Monday morning. And now that I'm saying that out loud, I've got to double up on Monday. I've got another guest coming in next Monday for another double episode drop next week. So look at me, just fucking firing out the content for you guys. So I appreciate all you guys that have been listening, all you guys that have shared. Here's a fucking call out for you guys. There's I'm assuming they're a new listener to the show. Otherwise, one of you guys is crazy and put yourself through some hell this week. There's been one person in the last week that has gone from episode 1 to last week's episode, 106, and listened to them all in the space of a week, which is fucking nuts that somebody has gone and done that, because in the space of a week, you've almost consumed like 2 years of my life, if that makes sense. So that'd be insane to know, A, who you are, and B, what is wrong with you to listen to my problems for that long. But I do appreciate it. 100% I appreciate it. And when I saw the downloads like going up every day, I'm like, who the fuck is doing this? So I jumped in. I haven't done this for so long. I think the last time I did it, I actually spoke about it on the podcast. But here's some statistics from this last 30 days, I think it is. So in the last 30 days of the podcast, this blew my fucking mind, right? Because since the start of the podcast, Australia's been the top country, right? But for the first time that I've noticed, let's put it that way, taking the top spot in the last 30 days with 60% of our downloads has been America, the United States of America. Turns out the Can't Get Any Worse podcast is big in the US. So all my American listeners, hello. Obviously, I've voiced it on here multiple times. Would fucking love to get over there eventually and do some comedy over in the States. Obviously, that's the mecca of stand-up comedy. That's where you want to be. New York, LA, now Austin. That actually blew my mind. That and then what did I? So 60% in America, and then only 36%. Oh, I just dropped my fucking bottle cap. 36% of our downloads have been from Australia, which, to be honest, I thought that'd be higher in Australia. But one sec, I'm getting my bottle cap. Nah, it's gone. It's under the chair. So, oh wait, no, it's over there. Hold on. Hold the phone. All right, I got it. Nobody stress anymore. So 60% America, 36% Australia, and then the other percent, whatever that adds up to be, is just scattered from fucking all over the world, which again blew my mind. Like, I had listens in Kazakhstan, and the only way I know that is from fucking Borat, people had downloads in Kenya in the last 30 days. Like, what the fuck? Who listens to this shit? You know what I mean? But I appreciate it. And then the other crazy thing this week is last week's little reel or TikTok fucking video, whatever you want to call it. The last sort of 3 months or so, I've started posting on YouTube Shorts as well. Just another little lane to be dropping content in, and hopefully something takes off. Maybe that's where that person who's listened to all the episodes this week has come from. But I dropped last week's reel in there. Got like 900 views straight off the bat, which I was fucking stoked with. I was like, holy shit, 900 people have watched this, watched me talk shit. You know what I mean? And then went to bed. Next morning I woke up, had like 24 comments or something, and 9.5 thousand views. And I was like, that fucking blew my mind as well. So I don't know if the podcast is finally getting a little bit of traction out there. You watch this week, you watch the downloads and the views and shit just fucking plummet now that I've spoken it into existence. But yeah, just a little bit of gratitude to you guys for listening. And if you guys have shared it, like I beg you guys at the end of every episode, I do appreciate it, because that's the only way that this thing's going to get anywhere eventually at the end of the day, is if you guys are at a barbecue and just go, yeah, Joe Rogan's pretty cool, but have you heard the Can't Get Any Worse podcast where James cries every week? It is so cool. He cries. Then he tells us how he bombs, and then he cries on the drive home. And every now and then he has awkward encounters. We've got an awkward encounter coming up. Stay tuned for it. But I think that's all I had to touch on with that sort of shit. But yeah, let's get into the fucking awkward moment of the week. Let's rip into it. I'm going to have a little sip just so I can get through the story. All right. Everybody listening knows good friends of the show, Adrian and Ash, right? Ex-co-hosts, ex-guests, ex-fucking workmates, whatever the fuck you want to call them, you know what I mean? So, obviously, like most mates in the world, we've got a little bit of a group chat going around on Messenger, and if any of it ever got out, we'd all be arrested and fucking prosecuted. But this week, Ash puts a little message in the group chat, and he goes, the boys have started calling me, what did they say? He's like, the boys have started going around calling me little man. And we're like, that's funny. We're all having a bit of a laugh about it. And then Adrian pipes in and he goes, a little while ago, the girls came up to me and they started dropping big boy, like calling me big boy. And obviously, Ash and I have both heard that, and we've gone, here's the next 2 hours of entertainment, just ripping on fucking Adrian. So Ash is sending fucking memes and GIFs that say like, hey, big boy, and stuff like that. And I'm at my computer, I'm doing quotes, so I'm bored as fuck. So I decide to get my little voice recorder out on Messenger, and I do a little voice recording, and I'm like, hey, big boy. And then I'm like, fuck, what did I say? I should have found the voice note. But I was like, yeah. Basically, I did the most fucking homo voice recording. I was like, hey, big boy, what are you doing, big boy? Oh, you're a big boy, aren't you, daddy? And just obviously it sounded as cringe as that was. Now, as I've hit send, I hear a bin lid shut and start to be wheeled. And I'm like, fuck, because outside my office windows is my neighbour's fucking wheelie bins, and it was bin day. So he's obviously put some rubbish in the bin and started to wheel them out. Then last resort, I've looked and my office window is obviously wide open, and I'm like, you fucking idiot. So then I've sent another voice recording and I'm like, you're not going to fucking believe this. My neighbour, who already I've spoken about awkward incidents with him in the past, about him catching me writing jokes at cafes and shit like that. And I'm like, this is the nail in the coffin for him. He's going to think I'm fucking doing gay OnlyFans or some shit. And then I tell the boys in another voice chat, I'm like, this is fucking nuts. This is what just happened. They're laughing. So then I'm like, how do I fix this? What can I possibly do? So I get the voice recorder out again. And I record. I'm like, hey, fellas, how you going? I can't wait to have some beers and watch the footy with you guys and just stare at some big old tits, you know what I mean? Just do some real fucking bloke stuff. And then I was like, that should throw him off my trail. So what do you guys think? Do you think I covered that up pretty well? It was, yeah. I saw him over the weekend. We had a little bit of a chat. He didn't bring it up, so fingers crossed he didn't hear it. That could be best case scenario. But I think I'm never going to leave my house again, board up the windows and doors, and just keep my awkwardness in this one room, just for you guys to watch. But what else has happened this week? Spoke last week about Westy's awkward basketball end of year presentation thing. I said he had one more game left of the season. Ended up playing that on Saturday, so it was called the semi-final, which here's my vague understanding of how sports work, right? You play the season, a couple of the teams make it to the semi-final, then the winners of those progress to the finals, and then the winner of those finals progress to the grand final, right? Correct? You guys are on board? That's how sport works. I'm a fucking genius. I just blew everyone's mind. But Westy plays the semi-final, and his team has been relatively up and down all year, right? A couple of big losses, couple of big wins, and no real consistency. And I don't know if it's just kids that age. There's no consistency in sport, but just completely up and down, right? Now, Westy's team wins on Saturday. Fucking hooray. We win the semi-final, and then that's it. We got told that was the last game, blah, 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 and I was like, hold on, so why did we call it a semi-final? Shouldn't we progress to the final? And everyone was like, oh no, we just call it that for fun. And I'm like, so did every under 10s basketball team on the weekend just think they were playing a semi-final game? Because that doesn't make sense. That's everyone gets a participation award that I was talking about when Ash and Adrian were on the episode 100. So I don't know. I think we need to bring back some real how would I word that? Some real mongrel in sport. Otherwise, it's just boring. What's the point of sport if nobody wins? I don't know. It gave me the shits. So that's where I'm at. That's pretty much all that's happened this week. So let's rip into my week in comedy. Mentioned 2 gigs that I had last week. I had Good Chat and a Prey Surf, but finished recording last week. I'm editing the podcast. Ring, 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 ring. Oh, who could this be? Look at my phone. Sit Down Comedy Club. Oh, here we go. We've fucking hit the big time, fellas. We're going big. We're doing Sit Down. We're doing the Mitzi show on Thursday. We've made it. We've all fucking made it. And I answer. I go, hello, James speaking. And old mate goes, oh, hey, we've had a dropout at Fitzy's Logan home tomorrow night. You want to jump on? And I'm like, oh, you better believe it. Not quite the show that I was hoping for, but hey, it's a sit-down show. And I said on the podcast, last Fitzy show that I had was one of the best sets that I had, but I didn't fucking record it because I'm an idiot. So made sure I took my camera this Tuesday. And got up there, had an okay set. All the comedians, once I got off, they're all like, oh, that was a fucking good set, blah, blah, blah. And I watched the recording back. It was okay, but I played it super safe. It was all old bits and shit like that. But I treated it as more of a tune-up gig for Good Chat on Wednesday night because I hadn't done a gig in, I think it was a week from then. And I don't know why. I don't know if everyone's like this or if it's just me, but if you haven't done stand-up in a week, it's almost like you forget how to do it. So that's why I critiqued my set so much on Tuesday, is because a couple of my bits I fumbled or I forgot a line that I should have remembered because they were all old bits. But the laughs were still there. I still had a pretty good set. So it is what it is. But thank fuck I got that out of the way for Wednesday night. So this was the one I was looking forward to for ages now. I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but last time I did Good Chat, had a fucking belter of a gig, right? So I don't know why I did this, but I was just like, oh, they'll email me to book me in. I'm fucking nobody. I'm a small fish in a big pond. So I didn't hear anything for a few weeks. So then I emailed them. I'm like, hey guys, can I jump back in the queue for a fucking Wednesday spot or whatever you've got available? And they're like, oh yeah, we'll put you in the end of August. And this was 2 or 3 months ago. I'm like, fuck. So I think they've given me another spot in October. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. but I'll for sure be firing away an email in the next day or two to go, hey, get me back in there ASAP. But let's get into that one. So good chat on Wednesday. I was second last, so I had that fun job of the night, just sitting there, bubbling away, going, get me fucking on stage before I forget my set, before I get too nervous. You know the deal. But yeah, another set of highs and lows. But fuck me, the lows were low. I got to the gig. 80% of the crowd was women, which for me, straight away, I'm like, this could be bad. This could be a bad night. Just because some women take my shit well. They're like, this is funny. But other women are like, you're a disgusting beast. Get the fuck off stage. And I felt like that's how Wednesday night was going to go, judging by some of the other people's acts and things like that. It seemed like some more of the intellectual type humor was getting through to them than the dirty old dick jokes. You know what I mean? Dirty old dick jokes. That's a funny phrase. I don't think that'll be the episode title. I've had a few too many dick-related titles, but anyway. So yeah, this was the real down point of the night. Okay, I've mentioned on the podcast that I've started doing a bit where I drop the word retarded, right? And I don't do it as like a punching down thing or anything like that. If that's what you guys who haven't seen me do comedy are thinking from listening to it all, right? So that was my second joke of my set, and I was nervous as fuck. So I opened on the toilet paper jizz joke that we spoke about on episode 100, and it did okay, but again, 80% of the crowd was women, and they're just like, that's fucking gross, dude. Like, and I was like, oh, fuck me. And I knew I was going straight into this retard bit, right? So I start it. I get to my first punchline in the joke to nothing, to crickets. And I'm like, I want to fucking kill myself right now. The only saving grace, once that flopped, I looked up to like the sound booth where the owner of the club normally sits and runs the sound, and he'd just popped out for a smoke. And I'm like, thank fuck he was not in the room for that. But obviously he had eyes and ears around the room to witness it firsthand. And as soon as that didn't work, and I'm kind of happy I did this in my head, right? I improvised on the fly. So my mouth went on autopilot and I've just started going through the joke. But in my brain, I'm like, how can I mix up the end of this joke that it's not as aggressive and harsh, right? So I'm trying to avoid the word retarded at any cost. And then I get to the end of the punchline and my brain and my mouth somehow link up. They don't do this often, just letting you guys know. Normally, whatever I think, I say. I think, but I say before I think, if that makes sense. See, that's what I mean. Stupid as fuck. But in this one circumstance, they link up and they go, hey, we got your back, buddy. And instead of dropping the word, I say special needs. And I don't know if it was that toning it down a little bit, but that punchline got a laugh. And I was like, oh, thank fuck. Thank you, comedy gods, for having my back one more time. And from that point where I got that decent laugh, the other sort of 4 minutes of my set was pretty good. So I was happy with it. So that's where that gig was at. And then a Prey Surf. If you had told me at the beginning of the week, you're telling me you got a sit-down comedy gig, right? Okay, that's where you want to be. You got a fucking good chat gig. Yeah, that's where you want to be. And then you got an open mic night down at Burleigh in a Prey Surf. So that's very quickly turned into one of my favorite gigs, to be honest. And I don't know what it is about it. There's no stage. You're literally in the middle of a restaurant, right? There's no lighting. There's a disco ball that spins around and does what a disco ball does. There's a projector that plays movies and shit with no sound, obviously. And the microphone sound is so low that when I talk into it, my talking voice is louder than what's coming through the speakers. And I don't know what it is, but all these things together just make me fucking love it. Like, it's just like, it's as dark, not dark. What's the word I'm talking about? Like, I don't want to say dingy because that sounds like offensive, but it's just like, it's like the base of comedy. You know what I mean? Like, you can go to these comedy clubs where you've got all the bells and whistles, lighting, stages, fucking perfect sound. And then you can bomb your dick off and you can go down to Burleigh, be in the middle of a restaurant and just have the sickest fucking set of your life. So yeah, the MC kicked off and I was up second, I think. So MC was having a rough time getting them going. I think he wouldn't mind me saying that. He even came up to me before I went on and he's like, fuck me, I can't crack them. And he was freaking out a little bit. I'm like, dude, you're doing okay. Like, it seems like a tough room. Then the first act gets up and he has highs and lows as well. Similar to my last two gigs that I just mentioned. The lows were pretty low. And then I got up and I feel like here's a little bit of inside baseball again for you guys. It feels like for me now, if I'm in a big room with a big crowd and things like that, and the other comedians are doing well, then the pressure's fucking on. I'm like dripping in sweat, trying to remember lines. I'm like, oh, and I stress myself the fuck out. But this gig on Thursday night, I'm standing there. I've watched the first two people before me not do amazing. And then it's just like the monkey's off my back, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm just going to go up and have some fun. And I had to drop like one or two jokes from my set because I got up there and I was just riffing with the crowd, just going on the fly, and it was fun as fuck to do. And again, super happy with how my set went. And I need to watch this one back actually because it's probably like, probably not the most crowd work I've ever done, but it was up there. There were a few moments with the crowd that were fun as fuck. Like, again, I've spoken about the evolution bit that I do on the podcast, and I basically start that off. I'm like, oh, is anyone in the crowd into the conspiracy theories? And normally you get fucking 3 people in the crowd and they want to share what they're into. You get the usuals like fucking 9/11 and Michelle Obama's a man, things like that. And this drunk dude, he somewhat yells out, and it was only him and one other person. He's like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. I'm like, and it's a dangerous move to go to the drunk dude because it can go one of either way. You can get some gold out of it, or you can just end up hearing about his depression and shit like that. So I go, oh, what are you into, buddy? What do you got for us? And he goes, do the COVID bit. And I'm like, what? Pardon? He goes, do a COVID one. And I'm like, oh, no, I thought you had a conspiracy theory. He's like, do the COVID joke. And I'm like, I'm not a fucking jukebox, buddy. I don't have all the conspiracy theories on track one by one. And you just yell something out and I go, oh, fucking the COVID joke, and do like a robot, do the COVID joke. So I was like, oh, fucking, I forget what I said to him. I had a little burn at him and I was like, oh, how about I do the evolution joke? And then fucking did that and it crushed pretty hard. So I don't know. I don't know why I ended up having such a good set, but the crowd was in for it. And I'm emceeing that one in 2 weeks, I think it is. So that should be fun. 29th is ringing a bell, but don't quote me on it just yet. I will plug it when we get to it. But yeah, that was my comedy this week, and hopefully we've got another good week coming up. Oh, all right. Couple of things happened this week that caught my eye. First one we'll touch on. Let me get a picture up here. Where are we? Drag you across here. So Nike and Lego have announced that they're collaborating, right? And much like cars that I brought to the table a couple of weeks ago, my other passion is fucking Jordans, like Nike Jordans, right? And I am a bit of a closeted sneakerhead, right? I can look at these things for hours on end. And then Lego announced that they're doing a collaboration. Westy's obsessed with Lego, right? And the little leaks that I saw were basically build Lego Jordans. And I'm like, that is insane. Like, if that does come out, I don't think I'll be able to resist. I think I'll have to buy every release they do and just build them. Like, that'd look sick on the shelves for sure. So if that does eventually happen, and that's the thing at the moment, nobody really knows what is coming of it. and everything that's being leaked is unofficial. Now, the shoes that I've got up on the screen right now, these apparently are part of their collaboration. And if for the audio listeners, they're basically a big yellow, like Lego block that you just put on your feet with a black Nike tick on it. And when I first saw them, I'm like, they're lame as shit. Like, it makes you look like you've got a Lego man foot. And then when I started looking at them, again, I would never buy them to wear. If you wore these in public, you'd look like some dickhead who wears fresh white Crocs to Woolworths. But then I was like, they're actually sick, again, to just put on a shelf or something. So, yeah, I don't know if those are actually real or what the go is, but I thought that's a fun little collaboration of just two beasts of their own industry coming together just to make even more money than they need to. But, hey, if you can, then why not? The other cool thing that I saw, this wasn't even in the news. It made it to the news eventually, but we all know Adrian Portelli, right? If you don't know the name, maybe you know him as Mr. Lamborghini or whatever the fuck they were calling him when he bought the block houses. Maybe you know him as the dude that craned his fucking multi-million-dollar McLaren into his penthouse in Melbourne. How else would you know him? You might know him as part of the alcohol company G-Up, LMCT Plus, the car giveaway company. They've just released an energy drink, Flipside, which I tasted one. Sorry, Adrian, I'm not sold on the pina colada one. I want to try the other flavour. He's in that with Troy Candy, who, again, just a fucking beast of his industry. But woke up the other day and Adrian's on his stories, right? And he goes, look, so his warehouse got robbed maybe like a year ago or so. And he had video footage. He had the names of the people that broke in. He had the addresses of the people that broke in. Like, that's the thing with people like this. They're connected as fuck. If you mess with someone like of his level, you're going to get caught. So I don't know why people are stupid enough to do that. Anyway, he had all this stuff on the break-in on his warehouse, right? Handed it all to the cops in like a pretty little package from all reports, and nothing came of it. They said they're going to keep looking into it. So on, I forget when it was, it must have been like Wednesday or Thursday last week, a group of dickheads decided to go to his penthouse that I just mentioned that got his McLaren craned into it. That's still under construction, right? They climbed up the elevator shaft to the penthouse where his car's stored and where his house is obviously getting built. He's built a fucking swimming pool on the top level of the penthouse. He put a story up the other day of how much reinforcement and stuff he needed to put in this place just to have a swimming pool at the top of this building. Insane shit. So these guys have climbed up the elevator shaft into his penthouse and they've taken the covers off his McLaren and they're taking photos with it and shit. And they're just invading his privacy at the end of the day. I don't believe they did any damage or anything like that. They were just doing it as a bit of a fucking prank. They were all recording themselves, things like that. Just being absolute flogs. And Adrian obviously has this place kitted out with CCTV footage, and he's caught these guys on CCTV, but obviously they're all masked up, they're all in black, typical break-in shit. And then somebody sends Adrian a story. One of these dickheads put on his Instagram story him breaking into the place. So then Adrian's got all these people to fucking go and track these guys down, and he ended up finding all of them, ended up finding all their names, all their fucking Instagram handles, things like that. And then Adrian, just straight down the barrel of his phone, he goes, last time I tried to do this properly, handed the cops all the information, and they did fucking nothing for me. So this time I'm handling this how I want to handle it, and whatever comes of it, comes of it. And then he proceeds to call out all these guys that broke into his place, calls out their names, calls out their Instagram handles, like puts pictures of them and shit up, calls out their businesses. One of them owns a media company that asked Adrian to work for him like 12 months ago or something, and just fucking blasts these guys into the ground, right? then the dude that owns the media company stupidly messages Adrian. He's like, I'm so sorry for what I've done. Please forgive me. I'm willing to work a month for free to make up for it. Like, dude, you just broke into this dude's house and you're saying you'll do a month of media for him for free. Doesn't make sense. Anyway, all this shit was funny as fuck to me. And then throughout the day and even through the night, Adrian just keeps nailing down on these cunts. And then one of them starts being a smartass back to Adrian on social media. So Adrian finds this dude's address and then starts filming himself banging on this dude's door. He's like, mate, you just wanted to be a smartass to me on social media. He's like, you wanted to invade my privacy. Now I'm at your house to invade your privacy. Come outside. And I was like, holy fuck. Every little bit of this I love, because if you've got the power to do so, why not fucking do it? Because I've spoken about it multiple times. I don't want to fucking dip into it again. But similar thing with the home invasion. Like, Nikita and I spent hours at the cop shop going through books and we're like, yeah, that's the guy there. That's the guy. This guy, he looks like that, blah, blah, blah. And fucking nothing. Just still looking into it. I called him like every week after it happened. They're like, oh, we're still looking into it. And I'm like, cunt. Like, frustrating shit. So hats off to Adrian Portelli for just putting these cunts on blast, putting them back in their place. And hopefully they've ruined this dude's like business and shit like that. And yeah, I don't know. Hopefully you guys thought that was a fucking baller move as well. Let's rip into... So, I wish I didn't fucking say this on last week's podcast, because if you guys want to set yourself a challenge, right, sit down and jot down your top 5 comedy movies. And I know that's a broad genre of movie, because you can have like romance comedies, horror comedies, all that shit. But just... it was hard as fuck for me, because every time I think I'd have it like narrowed down, I'd be like, oh, but what about this movie? So I've put together a list. I've gone over the 5. So I'll do what I think is my top 5 in no particular order, right? But then I'll mention the extras that I had. So I had Superbad. I think if you're into comedy movies, you have to have Superbad. 21 Jump Street, again. 22 Jump Street was just as fucking funny to me, so it was hard to pick one of them. I've just picked the original because I think you have to. Freddy Got Fingered, again, I've spoken multiple times on the podcast that I think that is probably one of my favourite comedy movies. There's just something about that movie that it's like my comfort movie. I can put it on and still laugh from start to finish at all the stupid shit on there, right? Step Brothers, again, funny as fuck. Put it on, just laugh nonstop. And then what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that 5 already? 1, 2, 3, 4. Fuck, I think that's 5 already, but surely not. I thought I had this sussed. Anyway, the next one was The Hangover. And again, Hangover 1, 2, and 3 are all fucking hilarious movies, but you can't have them all, can you? So I've just put the original in there because I think that's realistically what kicked it off for the whole franchise and made it all a staple in comedy movie history. So then, and I said last week when I watched Bridesmaids, I was like, oh, this is in my top 5 comedy movies. But again, when I sat down and worked it out, I'm like, maybe it does like miss out. Maybe it doesn't make the cut. So I've got that in my, what's the thing where it doesn't quite make it? Where you're like, fuck. I forget what it is. Like anyway, it'll come to me. But yeah, that's getting a participation award. And the other one is, again, at any given day, this could be my favorite comedy movie, but this is 40. If you're married with kids and you haven't seen this movie, go and fucking watch it because every joke in it is so relatable and so funny. And just like Judd Apatow is one of the best movie fucking directors and writers in history, in my opinion. And he's come up with some of the funniest shit that, again, couldn't quite make the list, but it's up there. So I don't know if you guys agree with that. They're all funny as fuck movies. If you guys have something that you think should have made the list, or just comment what your favorite fucking comedy movie is. Love to see you guys in the comment. Again, like I said at the start, you guys sharing it around, but also liking and commenting and all that sort of shit. Boost me into the algorithm and even just shows one extra person a week a clip and they're like, oh, this isn't bad. I'll go throw him a download. Also, while we're talking about that, if you guys haven't jumped over and given us a rating on Spotify, if you guys have got any time this week, if you could jump over and give us a rating on there, because over the last couple of months, and I don't want to throw stones at who I think it could be, but I think it could be a couple of people that I might have had a bit of a run-in with. I went from like a 4.9 star rating and dropped to like a 4.1, which means I got a couple of negative ratings in there just randomly over the space of a week at one point. So if we can boost that back up, it would be greatly appreciated. So if you use Spotify, jump over, bump that star rating up, because I know a lot of people, before they'll listen to a podcast, go through and see what sort of star rating they have. I've never done that, but apparently it's part of the fucking game. So, and you got to play the game at the end of the day. Anyway, sorry for that off tangent rant. Now, speaking about comedy, I mentioned the other week Adam Sandler was on Rogan, and he was on there plugging his new comedy special that came out on Netflix last week. I was relatively nervous for this special, right? Because, again, if we're going to rank... No, I'm not doing that to myself. Fuck you guys. I'm not happening. It's not happening. I was about to say, if I was going to rank comedy specials, Adam Sandler's last comedy special, 100% Fresh, is probably up there with one of my favorites. And a lot of people hate that special because it's not like a comedy special. It's just Adam Sandler being crazy for an hour, which I fucking love. And when I first watched that special, I hated it. And then I put it on again one day, laughed my ass off, and now I've seen that probably 20, 30 times at least, which is nuts to watch the same thing, the same hour 20 to 30 times is, I think that's the definition of insanity. But yeah, it's funny. So I had high hopes for this special, right? And I was so fucking nervous for it to come out because no matter what Sandler releases, everyone hates on it. And I guarantee if I publicly went out in like the comedy scene and I was like, hey guys, how funny was Adam Sandler's new special? Everyone would be like, shut the fuck up, idiot. That's not comedy. You need to watch Richard Pryor or fucking Kinison or all these comedy greats, which again, I fucking love that shit. But much like all the movies I just listed, a lot of my comedy taste is just silly, dumb shit, which Adam Sandler has killed for the last... How long's Sandler been in the game? Like, he's been bringing movies out since the 90s. So what's that, 30 years or so? Nuts. So, yeah, his new special called Love You. I put it on and I played the first 10 to 15 minutes, right? And I'm not going to lie, disliked it. And I was like, no, I fucking wanted to love this so hard. Watched the first 10 to 15 minutes, and then I actually paused it. And I was like, you're a fucking idiot because you thought this about 100% Fresh to start with. And I feel like I was gauging him against like proper stand-up specials. And not that this isn't a proper stand-up special. Just like standing on stage, curtain behind you with a microphone, telling jokes to the camera. And that's definitely not what Adam Sandler's about, right? Yes, he does that, but he also brings music into it. He brings sort of like little sketch moments into it. It's hard to explain, but the way he does it is just fucking perfect. So I've stopped it around the 10, 15 minute mark, and I've had a little word to myself, and I've gone, hey, idiot, this isn't supposed to be the most well put together, articulated, fucking word count, funny comedy special, you know what I mean? This is an hour of just silliness. This is just taking you back to your childhood and just being silly, you know what I mean? So I'm like, oh fuck, like that's right. Like let's just fucking relax, put it back on and press play. And then from that moment on, holy fuck did I enjoy this special. I even went back and watched the first 10, 15 minutes again. And I think I've seen it now definitely twice, but I think I've seen it 3 times maybe, the whole special. But there's a bit in it. Again, go and watch it. If you don't want any spoilers, skip ahead maybe a minute or so. But there's a bit it's smack bang in the middle of the special, and it's the dumbest fucking joke. It's so simple and so stupid that it makes it so fucking funny. But he pretends he's Merriam-Webster, right, that wrote the dictionary. And he does this stupid premise of Merriam-Webster's mum coming and being like, hey, let your brother write some shit down. You get all the attention and you've written fucking 99% of this book. So let your little brother write some shit. And then he proceeds to just all the fucked up words in the dictionary that aren't spelt the way they sound. He proceeds to make Merriam-Webster's brother spell this shit out stupidly and have to put it in the dictionary. It's funny as fuck. Again, it's as stupid as how I just fucking said it, but the way he does it is funny as fuck. And then the killer for me, like, I don't know why, but he did it in 100% Fresh as well. He did this song for Chris Farley, super slowed down, deep and meaningful song, right? And it almost brings a tear to your eye after watching fucking comedy for the last 50 minutes, and then he drops this on you. And I don't know why. He's just, it fucks with your emotions so much. He's done it again with this special. The last song on the special is nuts. It is one of the best things. I'll go on record to say this, right? I wasn't going to go and say my favorite comedy specials, but the song that Sandler drops at the end of this special is one of the best things that I've ever fucking heard, right? And again, people are going to be like, he's not a real comedian, blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up and go listen to this song he wrote at the end of it. And it is just a song about no matter how you're feeling in life, you can put a comedy movie on, you can put a comedy special on, you can watch whatever genre of comedy you want, a fucking TikTok or a reel, and it'll instantly put you in a good mood, whether it be for that couple of seconds of watching that reel or fucking an hour after watching a comedy movie. There's something that comedy does to you that just gets deep inside your soul and makes you feel fucking good about yourself. And just like the way that he wrote this song it was insane to me. Like, go and watch it. And then at the end of it, he finishes the song off just by like thanking all the greats of comedy. Nuts. And then signs it off, obviously thanking his good friend Chris Farley, who died, and Norm Macdonald, who again was one of his sort of comedy idols. And then the special basically ends with Farley and Norm Macdonald like shaking hands and laughing down the camera. So go watch it. It'll bring a fucking tear to your eye if you're into stand-up comedy or even just Adam Sandler. It was amazing to see. What else we got before we fucking... Oh, yeah, that's what else we watched this week. I won't go too deep into these ones. So Nikita and I were looking for a movie to watch on Saturday night. We did the old scroll for half an hour going, oh, fucking... No, you pick something. It's annoying. And the worst thing is there's like 5 good movies out at the moment that we want to watch. And we just landed on this because it was the shortest movie to watch, because by the time we picked one, it was like 9:30. So we saw A Quiet Place, day 1. We've seen the last 2 Quiet Places. And as much, I know those movies got a little bit of hate, right? But Nikita and I both enjoyed it. Basic premise of those two is there's these like alien monsters, right, that have landed on Earth, and they can't see or anything like that. They can only go off sound. So basically, Earth has to be in silent, because if these monsters hear a sound, they'll come and fucking eat you. And the first 2 movies were sick, how they captured all that. And now, obviously, it's in the name, day 1 of this new one. It's the first day that the aliens like crashed into Earth, and everyone is just sort of realizing that, okay, you're not allowed to speak, you're not allowed to make noise, things like that. And again, Nikita and I actually enjoyed this one, but a lot of people have said this is the worst of the 3. And I can see how they've got that way, but again, just fucking shut your brain off and enjoy a movie. Like, not everything has to be this like highbrow, top of the level thing. Like, things can just be simple and enjoyable, which is exactly what this was. But yeah, go watch that if you haven't. The other thing that I've consumed this week, I said last week I wanted to get back into my audiobooks, and this was actually a bit of a stumble across. So I was scrolling TikTok mindlessly the other day, and a clip came up of Marcus Luttrell on Rogan back in the day, And for those that don't know, Marcus Luttrell was the lone survivor, right? There was a movie made about it with Mark Wahlberg. And obviously there's a book about it. I've never read or listened to the book. And once I saw that TikTok come up and I just reheard that insane situation that he was in, right? I was like, fuck, I'm going to go download the book and listen to that. And again, it was another one of those audio books that I just had to consume in a day. Blew my fucking mind. And it's stupid to say because a movie's only got an hour and a half to 2 hours to tell a story. But the detail and information in the book that wasn't in the movie, again, just blew my mind. Just the shit that this bloke went through to be dropped in the mountains of Afghanistan with him and just, I think it was three of his, Marine teammates. I forget what the correct wording is, but just to be dropped in there and then each of them being killed one by one and just you being alone, like in the name, lone survivor, would have been scary as fuck. And then just for things to all line up to then be saved. And yeah, again, if you don't have time to listen to the audiobook, go watch the movie again and just refresh yourself with that story because it's nuts. And on top of that, it's actually my little motivational clip of the week. But once I listen to that, I've said it again. I've said it before that I'm into that sort of military type of like stories from the military and stuff like that. And again, when we had Kyle Farram on the podcast, if you're listening, g'day Kyle. His story blew my mind. And when he first told me that, when one of the first or second times we met, I was like, instantly want to get you on the podcast, get your story out there. And just, again, that's something that he can share to people down the track, whether it be, friends or family, and just be like, oh, this is my story. Go listen to it on the podcast. I've fucking said it all on there. So, I'm sort of into that lane. So because of that, I started looking at other military books that I could listen to, and it came up in my library. Again, it's not necessarily purely military, but David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. Started listening to that again. So I'm about halfway through that. Might give my refreshed review on it next week if we're lucky. But yeah, I've got Goggins as my motivational clip of the week this week when we get to it. But last little thing I wanted to touch on, No Limit Boxing was on this week. This has become quite the juggernaut of Australian boxing, and not even necessarily Australian boxing now. It's like global stage, right? Now, I've said it, I'm not exactly the biggest boxing fan, right? I'm an MMA fan, but a boxer that has caught my eye over the last 2 to 3 years, Jazzy Parr from the Gold Coast. Again, one of the up there guests that I'd love to get on the podcast eventually. And if the name rings a bell, Parr, that's because her dad is fucking GOAT of the game, John Wayne Parr. I think he has like over 100 fights. I think he's even got another fight coming up now. The dude's in his 50s, I think. Could even be high 50s by now, but again, absolute weapon. And hats off to him. He was one of the stray arrows that I fired in the early days of the podcast, and I was just like, why not? Like, he lives on the Gold Coast. Let's see if I can somehow get him on, send him a message, and I didn't even expect him to see it, right? And he was nice enough to message me back, and he goes, hey, mate, love what you're doing, love that you're after that hustle, blah, blah, blah. He's like, look, I'm not entirely into the whole podcasting thing. He's like, obviously I've done Rogan and things like that, but even Rogan had to twist my arm to get on there and fucking do the podcast, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, I am stoked that you even replied to my message. I'm stoked that you even read my message. So that's nuts. But yeah, back to his daughter that's killing the boxing game at the moment. She's racked up another win when was that? Like Wednesday or Thursday or something. But yeah, she's killing the game. She's seems unstoppable at this point, and she's just nailing the social media aspect of things. She's obviously got the look. She's got the heritage, and she just goes in the ring and just backs it up. So yeah, hats off to Jazzy Parr down on the Gold Coast, and could reach out in a couple of weeks to see if she wants to have a chat now that she's out of fight camp. Who knows? She might be bored and want something to do. So yeah, you can always hope, hey? Premature premise of the week. Again, I'm very, very sorry I don't have one. I have a lot on my plate this week, as I rattled off at the start of the podcast. But let's get into our motivational clip of the week. Where the fuck is that one? Come across onto here. So this is one of those clips that, again, much like all the clips that I play on here, this one pops up for me every now and then and just reminds me that David Goggins is a beast. And this is a clip from the Joe Rogan Experience of when Cam Haines went on there, and they were just talking about how much of a beast Goggins is. So I'll play it.
What did you guys do? You ran like 30 miles.
Yeah, 35.
35 miles.
Yeah.
And then you went back and lifted.
Yeah. During that race, it was kind of cold and snowy. I think it was spitting snow, but rainy. It was soaking wet. I remember like at mile 22, something was happening with his feet and he had to take his shoes off. Normally, that's not a good sign because you know your feet are going to get torn up. And I thought, man, there's a chance that maybe I won't see him again.
17. They don't know me, son. Get it. 18. They don't know me, son.
But no, sure as shit. Here he comes. He catches back up. Me and my brother were up there. Went from 22. He got in this different groove. He took off. I was just kind of power hiking it. And I get up there and had a cameraman up there. I asked a cameraman up there, I'm like, hey, I said, how did Goggins look? And he's like, well, he had his shirt off. He was saying, they don't fucking know me. He's like, they don't know me, son. And saying all this stuff. I said, who was he saying that to? And he's like, there's nobody up here. So
Down. 16. Come on. Get it. 17. They don't know me, son. Get it. 18. They don't know me, son. Who's going to carry the boats and the balls?
But yeah, I thought that was another sick little clip to bring to the table, because if you haven't fucking listened to that book or even watched Goggins the 2 times he's been on Rogan, the dude's life is insane. And just the way that he has switched his mindset to go from like 300 pounds obese to now this super athlete that just fucking runs all day, every day, and does insane amounts of reps in the gym. So hopefully that gave you guys a little pick-me-up that you needed this week. Plug-in shows for the week. So 6th of September, I will be at the I'll be at the Commercial Hotel in Nanango, sorry. So it's free entry if you haven't got reserved a table or anything like that. Make sure you touch base with the venue. Then the 7th of September, I will be at the Queen's Arm Hotel in Roma. So again, another free entry show. Touch base with the venue if you want to come. I am stoked to be going on this little tour. First little tour that I've been invited on. So hopefully it all goes to plan. And we'll see how it goes. A little bit stressed about it. Obviously leaving the family and things like that. But hey, it'll be fun. And then plug in these 2 shows again. 17th of September, I'll be at Good Chat Fringe Festival with 2 mates that'll be on the show on Thursday. So make sure you guys listen to that episode as well. And obviously we'll release show title and ticket links and things like that while we're on the podcast. And 22nd of September, back at Distillery Road, fresh new lineup. Some very funny people on that lineup. So come to that one, and then we're working on some huge things. So this has been my other little thing this week. Is had a meeting with Distillery Road last week, and yeah, geez, the sky is the limit. Working on some massive things, which probably going to cement us in the comedy scene for putting on some of the biggest comedy shows in Southeast Queensland. So stay tuned for that shit. But come along to our monthly show and just see how we're growing as a room there. Where we also had the discussion of just leaving tickets open for the next one. We're not going to even try and sell it out or anything like that. We're just going to jam pack the fucking venue. So if you want to come along to that, it's going to be stacked. Other than that, send submissions through via DM on Instagram at Can't Get Any Worse Podcast. Or send me an email at cantgetanyworsepod@gmail.com. Keep sharing the podcast around. Send me some questions or some some shit you want me to talk about. I don't know. Let's have a chat. Again, if you're that one person that listened to my entire 2 years in 1 week, reach out. I want to know who the fuck you are. And I don't know, send you a fresh white croc or something. I don't fucking know. But I appreciate you all listening, and stay tuned for Thursday's episode. I will see you later.
Can't get